I have a friend who
I have a friend who
was
Well-
not successful
was not successful
At
at all,
but was really up and
but were really up
coming.
and coming, and
He had a
and
thing.
he had a thing.
He would only fly
He would only fly
first class.
first class.
I'm not saying do this
I'm not saying do this
just because for somebody it
because for somebody it
won't work, but he
won't work, but he
needed that mentally.
needed that mentally.
Right. He wanted to
He wanted to fly
fly first class
first class
because mentally he wanted to think
he wanted to think
he was the best,
he was the best,
and that's it.
and that's it.
And even though he didn't have
And even though he didn't
much money at the
have much money
time, this is
at
years
the
ago,
time, this years ago,
he would always
he could always
fly. I used to criticize
he was always fly.
him,
He used to criticize him,
but it put him in a good state.
but it put him in a good
He
state of mind,
became a very,
and he became a very
very successful
guy.
guy. Very, very successful.
Very successful.
And
And I've always
remembered that
remembered that
he would never fly
he would never fly coach.
He would always fly
Coach.
first class.
He could always fly first
Even though he
class,
didn't have the means
even though he didn't have the means
to fly.
to
So
fly. So
look, it's
look,
complicated,
it's complicated,
but whatever it takes
but wherever it takes
to train that.
to train that.
I've always believed in
I've always believed
positive things.
in positive thinking.
At the same time,
At the same time,
I don't want to mislead.
I don't want to mislead.
I also believe
I also believe
in
in aspiring
in terms of what
in
you're
terms
doing,
in terms of what you are doing,
aspiring to protect
aspiring to protect
against
the downside.
You can't just be this one
You can't just be this wonderful guy
Everything's
walking around everything's positive
because unfortunately
positive because unfortunately
that's not the way the
that's not the way the world is.
I love to
I love
people
to tell people to think
think about the
about the challenges. I love to tell people to think about the challenges
challenges so that when they do
so that when they do
come along,
you're ready.
Let's suppose that I have a job,
Let's suppose that I have a job,
but I have the feeling
but I have the feeling
that I want to start
that I want to start
my own business. How would I know
How would I know
that I'm the right
that I'm the right
kind of person for the entrepreneurial
life?
To me, that's the best question
To me, that's the best question
you've asked, and it's
you've asked, and it is
also the toughest.
the toughest.
Somebody has a family,
Somebody has a family,
has a job, they have a nice job,
they have a nice job,
they get X dollars
they get X dollars a week.
They don't have to worry
Dollars a week. They don't have to worry about very much.
It's not going to be great.
It's not going to be
They're
great.
not going to live in Palm.
They're not going to live in Palm Beach.
You know what?
But you know what?
They have a job,
They have a job,
and it's income
and it's income coming in.
coming in. The hardest thing to do,
The hardest thing to do,
in my opinion,
in my opinion,
in business,
is to leave that job
and become an entrepreneur.
and become an entrepreneur.
Because you're risking
Because you're risking
your wealth,
your wealth,
You're risking your
You're risking your
family, your health,
your health,
your family's
your family's health.
health. You're really risking a
You're really risking a lot.
lot. You have to know
You have to know
in your gut
in your gut
whether or not you have
whether or not you have it
it to be an
to be an entrepreneur.
Can you handle pressure?
Can you handle pressure?
Can you handle all of the
Can you handle all of the problems you're going to be confronted with?
And there'll be many problems.
And there will be many problems.
But the toughest
But the toughest
job
job
somebody has,
that somebody has,
in my opinion,
in
in business,
is to know
when to get out of something
when to get out of something
and when to go in something.
and when to go in something
Because that's a
because that's
very
risky proposition.
When people ask me about
You know, when people ask me about success,
I just started thinking
about it over
the last couple of years because
the last couple of years.
I've seen a lot of it.
Because I've seen a lot of it.
You have to have an ability
to handle pressure.
Because
you
no matter how
successful you
I
are.
have many
I have many friends
and enemies.
and enemies.
A lot of enemies too.
A lot of enemies too.
care, but they're smart.
I don't care, but they are smart.
I have a lot of enemies.
I have a lot of enemies.
And I've
watched
people.
And I've watched people.
And I've seen it.
And I've seen it.
People that can handle pressure can be entrepreneurs. Can be successful. I have some friends
I have some friends that are really
smart. But they can't handle pressure. In which case work for somebody.
They should work for somebody.
Do great and have a good life.
Do great and have a good life.
There's nothing wrong with it.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Because I almost think that
it's
an instinct.
That an instinctive thing.
The ability to handle
pressure.
Now, one of the things I tell people about
pressure
is what they said. How do you handle pressure?
How do you handle pressure?
Who's had more pressure than me?
Who's had more pressure than me?
Yay. Have I had pressure over the
years? And
I get criticized.
I get
my hair.
Criticized at my
but
hair.
It's not so bad,
but it's not so bad.
It's real.
And it's real.
It's mine.
And it's mine.
It is my real hair.
It's my real hair.
I get killed.
I get killed.
I had an article recently.
I had an article recently.
That was so
good.
It was such a great article.
It was such a great article.
And then it had one line. But he wears the worst hair. Piece I've ever seen.
I ever seen.
And I couldn't show the article.
I couldn't show the article
to anybody.
It's not even true. And it's not even true.
But you have to have.
The ability. But you have to have the ability
to handle pressure.
And if you can't handle pressure, you have to know that
about yourself.
about yourself.
You have to know that
You have to know that
about yourself.
about yourself.
So,
So,
handle pressure.
handle pressure.
If you can't, that's
If you can't,
okay.
that's okay.
But one of the things I
But one of the things I tell
people about handling
about
pressure is
handling pressure is
remember, because they ask
remember because they
me the question,
ask me the question,
how do you handle the
how do you handle the stress?
stress? And you know, somebody
Stress.
actually said,
And you know, somebody actually said,
Donald, you're so handsome.
Donna, you are so handsome.
Do you believe this? I love this person.
Do you believe that I love this person?
You're so handsome.
You are so handsome.
How have you stayed
How have you stayed
so handsome
so handsome
under all this pressure?
under all this pressure?
And I actually thought of it
And I actually thought of it
to myself.
You have to remember.
It doesn't matter. God
It doesn't matter.
Matters.
God matters.
family matters.
Your family matters.
It doesn't matter. And
It doesn't matter.
if you say it,
And if you say it,
I have some people,
I have some people,
they say, I've got to
they say, I've got
be successful.
to be successful.
I've got to be.
I've got to be.
They'll never be successful. It's
They will never be successful.
too crazy.
It's too
They can't think
crazy. They can't think straight.
Does that make sense? Does that make
Does
sense
that
to
make
you? That was
sense
going,
to you? Does that make sense? Does that make sense to you?
crazy.
That we're going crazy,
Standing up about your
standing up about your success,
success, right?
right?
So
So
you've got to handle.
you've got to handle.
Now he's a little bit more